Solana currently accounts for almost 90% of my liquid net assets. Out of ETH, I transferred a portion. Currently, my Bitcoin holdings are quite low. That doesn't imply I have anything against Bitcoin. The others seem to go up more, in my opinion. No brainer at all. I believe I have another thesis regarding a collection of high-end NFTs that I own. Afterwards, I engage in some conjecture and other activities. Nevertheless, that is part of the enjoyment. Everyone is terrified of the time horizon problem, as far as I can tell. Only in the past 2 weeks have I come to terms with the fact that I need to take a step back. All eyes are on the banana zone because it represents everyone's goals and dreams. Which is the real deal on crypto Twitter, and the reason for all the criticism, it belongs to everyone, it's mine too. So they're eager to do it perfect and terrified it will go wrong. Everyone is going through this same problem. As in the previous cycle, some people experience post-traumatic stress disorder (PTSD) after the most recent one. Prior to this cycle, there was the blow-off peak followed by the crash. Here we have the stunted top followed by the collapse. Everyone is concerned about the cycle now. Jeff Bezos seems unconcerned with the ups and downs of the stock market. His only asset was his stock. I am Max Weather from Boots. Raoul, CEO of Real Vision, recently gave an interview in which he argues that we should ignore the present market cycle and pay attention to important. In cryptocurrencies, Solana receives 90% of Powell's liquid net wealth. According to Powell, not only does he not own much Bitcoin, but he has also moved some of his investments away from Ethereum. That doesn't mean he thinks Bitcoin is bad, but he thinks other assets like Solana are more promising in terms of future growth. Powell also points out that many in the cryptocurrency world have strong feelings on the subject. The two main motivators for human behavior are greed and fear. People are eager to gain and fearful of losing. But Powell is a champion of looking at things from the long term, like Jeff Bezos, who keeps his stock ownership regardless of economic cycles. Rather than getting caught up in short-term market fluctuations, investors should think on the investment's potential in the long run. According to CoinDesk, speculators capitalized on the drop in Bitcoin prices that occurred on Friday following the July 4th break. When U.S. traders got back to their computers on Friday, they saw that the price of Bitcoin had fallen by over 10% from about $1,610 on Wednesday to under $1,54000. In reaction to this drop, investors poured $43.19 million, the largest level in at least 2 weeks, into Bitcoin exchange-traded funds (ETFs) on Friday. Particularly noteworthy is the $7.4 million net inflow that Fidelity's Wise Origin Bitcoin Fund experienced. Bitwise, ARK21 shares, and the Van Eck Bitcoin Trust were among the other exchange-traded funds ETFs that witnessed net inflows. Now that we've covered that ground, let's witness Raoul Pal's interview in action. It would mean a lot if you could just subscribe to the channel and like the video to demonstrate your support. Appreciate it and have fun watching the video. You can make a ton of money on the odd trade, which is similar to the buy bonds where diamonds trade. On the other hand, others were having trouble coping since our worldview was limited. We weren't focusing on the correct thing, therefore the equities just kept moving up without us being able to do anything. An enormous trend known as the liquidity cycle was occurring. Everything was connected to it once you saw it. When everything is tied to it, then speaking about it becomes intriguing. So which asset is doing the best if every deal is identical? The elimination of left-tail risk by the Federal Reserve and all central banks is another crucial development that I believe has transpired. I'm frustrated with myself because it took me too long to come to this realization. Debt deflation, or left-tail risk from a global macro perspective, occurs when collateral's value drops so low that it can't cover debt payments when they're due, and the cycle begins when individuals sell the collateral. Back in 2008 we had it. How did they act? The currency is devalued. How was it used? Optimally increase the value of assets, leading to an increase in collateral. In 2012, the Europeans were even more aggressive. In light of their remarks, we repeated the process in COVID. Debt deflation is thus impossible, according to their statement. We shall not abide by it. We will debase the currency by 8% annually to cover the costs. You may think of it as a bet that the system won't crash and burn, as opposed to thinking, I can't believe they're robbing me of 8%, which is a whole different perspective. To keep the system from collapsing, you may explain that it's the mutualized cost of a put option and that everyone must pay 8%. Very well. This might be the greatest global risk-taking opportunity ever if we remove the left tail. Everything is linked on this debt refund cycle, and debasement of currency is necessary. After that, all I did was do what was necessary. Regardless of the metric you choose, global liquidity, Fed balance sheet, etc., relevant when dividing all primary assets. Only the Nasdaq and cryptocurrency saw price increases. Since 2011, Bitcoin's annual return has been 150%, while the Nasdaq's return has been 17%. Holy crap, you are incredible. It ruins your investment portfolio? That much is true. Every aspect deviates from perfection. Then they ask, yeah, but how about the fluctuation in risk return? 3 drawdowns of 80% each led to that 150% return. That figure includes them. Oh, and the more illogical it becomes as the time horizon gets greater. Extraterrestrial asset class. This is completely new to us. Realizing there is only one trade was too late for me. No one likes it. Many would want things to go back to the way they were before the advent of this new asset class and the one trade that it entails. All they care about is trading oil, dollars, and yen, as if those currencies don't matter. You owe it to yourself if you're an investor whose job it is to maximize profits. If not, you should have known that Yellen traveled to China twice. Wealth preservation is slightly different from profit maximization. For what reason is she in China? Their debt refinancing cycle is involved as they require dollars due to the fact that their whole property industry borrows in dollars. Am I correct? Thus, they are facing a lack of dollars. A worldwide scarcity of dollars is currently occurring. From its humble beginnings as Silicon Valley Bank, it has grown into Credit Suisse and then collapsed. The Eurodollar market is heavily influenced by Credit Suisse. The Eurodollar market revolves around Japanese banks. What's going here is that they're going hungry for money. The yen-dollar so begins to decline. Yellen then makes 2 trips to China. This small dance requires Yellen to conduct it. The dance is trying to intimidate the Chinese by bringing up Japan. To devalue is something the Chinese would rather not do. Janet is wary of making direct swap line loans to Chinese investors. Through the Japanese banks, she plans to sneak it in under the radar by enlisting the help of the Japanese government. My guess is that's how it turns out. To the contrary, the Chinese will have consented to the second point because Janet relies on them to purchase bad bonds. They are the biggest junk bond salespeople in the world. Thus, she promises to procure the money on her behalf. We are aware that there is a scarcity of euro dollars on the market. Various channels will be utilized by us to provide you with liquidity. Your funds will be supplemented. We can all just disappear. Then there are the trade deals that have been proposed, in which the US is supposedly being told that it cannot sustain a deficit of this magnitude. If everyone doesn't sort of get in line here, we won't see enough progress. The development is necessary for all. The world can expand thanks to a dollar that is weaker. Weak dollar cycles are the bedrock of every economic upswing. It pours cash into developing economies. China is in dire need of it. It is essential for the US economy that commodities be exported and purchased, because they are practically in a recession. The Chinese will not purchase any items. All of this happens during the low point of the economic cycle. Appears as though the issue will be rectified. The only way this issue can be settled effectively, in my opinion, is if the Fed cuts interest rates and shocks the market, which could happen in July. According to what you said on Twitter before, I have a propensity to anticipate July or a significant signal, after which I would grant the Japanese unlimited funds to act. The Japanese government has been forced to step in and stabilize the currency market on 2 or 3 occasions in nearly every cycle. Then the dollar will appear. Tremendous force that sparks global expansion. Everything is looking up now, although the strong dollar has helped the US economy in one way. By reducing inflation, it has hurt exports and contributed to the widening deficit. I believe that the necessary game has been communicated to all parties. For no other reason than that, Yellen